Hey everyone, Laura and Alvin with Add a Pup Dog and Puppy Training. Training Tip Tuesdays. I wrote this without the theme in mind, but then I realized maybe this could be really corny. I was gonna say cute. It would be a corny theme. So I have, in the training center at all the stations, there's an adorable framed print that I probably spent way too long picking out from Etsy. I'll post a link if anyone's interested. But one of them is basically this week's training trip. Do what you have with what you can where you are. So the training tip is do what you can with what you have where you are, which is to say, meet your dog where they are, wherever it is, and help them succeed from there. You can't make someone know something. You can't force someone to succeed. And if they can't do something now, that doesn't mean they're incapable of doing it. It just means that what you're asking or expecting of them isn't what they're ready or capable of doing yet. So, sometimes we have to meet them in preschool, sometimes we have to meet them in nursery school, sometimes we have to meet them in high school, sometimes we think they're capable of calculus and they're not doing it that day, and that's fine. It's just the way it is sometimes. We have to meet them where they are and help them succeed from there. And that adjusts from minute to minute, from environment to environment, from day to day. We've got to be flexible with our dogs. So there is a conversation, I have variants of this conversation very often, but there's a particular conversation that I've been meaning to do a training tip on. I had this a couple years ago with someone, and they said, my dog pulls on leash. I was like, okay, try this out, what's happening when you're walking him on, etc. And I said, we'll start, somewhere not very exciting, like your neighborhood. Oh, he pulls in the neighborhood. Okay, well, how about right in front of your house? Oh, he pulls in front of the house. Okay, well, what about in the yard? Oh, he pulls in the yard. Okay, then you'll have to start in the house. Oh, he pulls in the house. Okay, then you're gonna have to start with taking a single step with your dog. You're gonna have to start by having him sit when the leash comes out. You're gonna have to start by being able to handle him. Maybe you'll have to start with just introducing him to the concept of interacting with humans in a training scenario. You gotta meet them wherever it is they're capable of starting. So it's sort of like saying, I can't do theoretical physics. Okay, well, do you know physics? No. Well, do you know calculus? No. Do you know trig? No. Geometry? No. Algebra? No. Multiplication and division? No. Addition and subtraction? No, I can't do that. Can you count to 100? No. Can you count to 10? No. Can you count to 3? No. Let's start with 1. Let's count to 1, and then we'll go 2, and then we'll go 3, and then we'll go up from there. You can't just expect to start with the finished product and then be frustrated or disappointed or give up because you're not there, because it's where you started. If I wanted to be a competitive weightlifter, I wouldn't be like, okay, I gotta go bench 400 pounds. I don't even know if that's realistic for anyone. I know nothing about it. So that's where I would start. What is a realistic amount of weight to bench press? I can't just go in there and then be mad that I can't do it. Or even worse, be mad at my dog that it's not happening. We have to meet them where they're capable of in that moment, and then build up from there. So it's not a failure or a judgment on you or your dog if that's not where you are yet, or even if you don't want to get there. Like, bench pressing 400 pounds is not important to me. It's not. Theoretical physics isn't important to me. I don't feel like I need to know that. That's totally fine. If it's not important to you that your dog maintain a rigid stay while you walk 50 yards away and do a jumping jack and, I don't know, sing Yankee Doodle, then that's not important to you. That's totally fine. If you just want to have a happy life with your dog, then that's totally legit. It doesn't mean that you're failures because you can't do fancy things in show rinks or anywhere else. So a practical example, besides the loose leash walking. Recall, this comes up a lot. My dog can come when called when there's not much going on, but when the neighbor dog is out and they're barking at each other, then, all bets are off. They can't hear me anymore. Well, that's where they are right then. You gotta meet them there. So you know that barking dog, across the fence is too much, but empty yard is enough. So what they're capable of, their limit is somewhere in between there. So you're gonna start practicing minor distractions. If you see a squirrel the next yard over that your dog's just kind of like, ooh, was that a squirrel? call them from that. And then maybe a dog walking across the street, and that's kind of, ooh, a little more exciting, call them from that. Build your way up to barking at the neighbor dog. But you can't just skip from kindergarten to graduate school and expect them to be able to do that. So loose leash walking in class versus with squirrels. The dog is fantastic when you're doing the practice stuff and, you know, rapid fire clicks and treats for every step. If you hear snorting, that's Nina. But then once you're out in the neighborhood and there's squirrels and there's smells and there's other people and there's kids who want to pet them, then it's a totally different picture. That's fine. That means their limit is somewhere between there. So start pushing their abilities limits from what they can do, and then make it a little bit closer to what you want them to be able to do. So you're fantastic with the, you know, the class regimented clicking and treating loose leash walking practice. Okay, start that in short bursts somewhere easy, right in front of your house, and then venture onto the next block, and then try it, you know, 2 streets down from the playground when there's kids on it, if that's the big distraction, and then get a little bit closer. You gotta meet them where they are and build from there. Last example. She knows this. He can do this at home. Good. They totally do. But that doesn't mean they're capable of doing it right now. If you've ever had to memorize something and then suddenly, you know, if you meet someone that's famous and you're excited to meet them, you forget your own name. If you're trying to talk to your crush, then you're just like, you can't even speak anymore. Dogs forget things too. People aren't infallible. Dogs aren't infallible. Sometimes you forget. Sometimes other stuff are going on. Sometimes you forget your turn signal. Sometimes you blank out at a green light. It's not a big deal. It just means that someone needs to go toot toot, it's a green light, or nudge nudge, your crush is just a person, just say your name, it's not a big deal. It's fine, dogs forget it too. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean they're dumb, it doesn't mean they're dominant, it doesn't mean they're being deliberately difficult. It just means they're thinking beings with brains, and you gotta meet them where they are in that moment. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. Happy little orange dog. Let me know if you have any questions or requests. We have a lot of stuff coming up. The April class is going to start on the 11th because of the snow. And we still have room in the puppy class for that. So if your dog is under 20 weeks, nab your spot. Better sooner than later to build good habits. CGC class is coming up, the AKC CGC. That's for graduates of beginner good manners or an equivalent. If you get in touch and let me know what you did and if you passed your graduation. We've got the mini class for manners brush-ups, also for graduates or an equivalent with permission. And the pity party, the pit bull class, pit bull type dog class. It's a mini course, 3 weeks. We're just gonna do icebreaker tricks and polite greetings and talk about how awesome our blockhead babies are and how crappy people can be sometimes. Camaraderie. All right, take care everyone. Let me know if you have any questions or requests. Let me get my remote shutter here. Take care, bye-bye.